Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We in this age have many concepts which are given to be almost divinely ordained. And then research comes in and tells us that those concepts, apparently very useful, are in reality very harmful. The human brain evolved hundreds of thousands of years ago and for the most part has largely remained unchanged. That is, it is innately tuned to analog information. That means it is focuses on the hunt at hand, perhaps the forage for the wild plants. And yet we have started beating it out of proportion, out of all recognition, this ancient thinking organ, not with analog information, but with a daily deluge of digital information. And according to the research done now, this has worrisome effects. The article, based on the research published in Nature, sports this concern. The research suggests that the media multitasking, trying to engage with the multiple forms of digital or screen based media, at the same time, simultaneously, whether they're television, whether Instagram, whether they're texting, it impairs attention in the young adults. Mind you, it's young adults. Why? It worsens their ability to recall specific experiences or situations. They're just immersed for a time and they're losing the ability to recall. Thereby, it disrupts the memory. So, media multitasking, which I've seen people doing in common day life, moving around, then texting at the same time, watching a movie, texting or listening. So this, especially when the screen is there, then this multitasking affects your recall memory, disrupts memory, and as a matter of fact, they have used a technique to measure the brain activity and the eye tracking. And this was done on the young people between the age of 18 and 26. And the results were really, really worrisome. More than 80% of the samples selected showed signs of memory lapses, inability to recollect, recall, or arrange something methodologically and in a clear manner. There was more confusion, no concentration, and that's a tragedy. So, after giving bad news for those who are addicted to multitasking, especially media multitasking, there's a good news. They say that the scientists that they have evolved a 3D printing and it is done inside the body could patch the stomach ulcers. The gastric wounds afflict 1 out of 8 persons worldwide, and conventional therapies are of no use. So now the scientists aim, well, let's hope they are successful, to treat such problems by exploring a new frontier in 3D printing. What they do is they deposit the living cells, right inside the body. And They set on layers of the material to create structures. Bioprinters extrude living cells to produce tissues and a long-term drain. The study has been done in USA at Dow University and United Network for Organ Sharing. And according to them, what they say is that the living tissues printed outside the body can be placed inside by implantation surgery. But the cost of the surgery, both monetary, psychological, and physical, is too high because the large incisions are required and there's a lot of risk of infection and long recovery time. So what they have done is they have started printing cells right inside the body. So it's a minimal invasive surgery. They insert a 3D printing tool to a very small incision and then lay down the new tissue. It is called in vivo bioprinting. Basically, it's a micro robot about 3 millimeters wide, less than half the width of the credit card, and it folds into the length of 43 millimeters. But once inside the body, it expands and becomes 59 millimeters long and starts bioprinting automatically. The Ohio State University professor David Hollitz did not take part in this, but he says it is quite possible that it will unfurl a large working area past the tight restriction at the entry. So what they have done is they fitted a micro robot into an endoscope. The endoscope was inserted through the mouth, and the transit model of the stomach. And they used to print gels loaded with a human stomach lining. The printed cells remained visible for about 10 days and then they merged with the body and the wounds were healed. But now the problem is it can mean very small wounds. And now what is being done is endoscopic surgery. The small wounds are healed through the surgery, but it's not a permanent solution. They say it reopens the wounds later on. So the hope for the in vivo bioprinting is that they'll improve these methods of patching the gesticulations with the living cells. And they say this length of 44 ml can be reduced to 12 ml and it can be equipped with camera and other sensors to help it perform complex operations. Till now, it has been done, bioprinting has been done for treatment of skin and other tissues in the outer part of the body. This was the first time that they are doing it inside the body. Basically, the purpose is that the digestive tract and other centrally located organs are treated without extensive surgery. Let's hope they can do it, but can they do it or not still remains to be seen. As a matter of fact, the researchers are using the existing techniques and and they're producing mechanical bees and cockroach inspired robots who can move inside the body. Well, if it happens, it would be really a boon to the people suffering from esophagitis. And then, imagination staggers. Can you believe that the ink and pen can draw health sensor directly on the skin with the help of electronic ink and stencils? The scientists have created a cheap heart monitor. They have drawn the sensor with the help of that thing on the skin. It looks like material from a child's art project, but the researchers have used these tools to draw functional health monitors directly on human skin. You don't have to do ECG every time, EKG they call in America, or EEG. They just draw it on the heart and it monitors. The wearable sensor technology, which helps doctor check a variety of health indications, has in the recent years from bulky devices to flexible patches like a temporary tattoo. But these were the prefabricated sensors were very expensive and they follow the skin contours imperfectly, thereby making them sensitive to the wearer's emotion. But when you draw it on the skin, the scientists say the whole problem would be solved and it will be more authentic, more reliable information. And then comes the afflicting, troubling coronavirus, the mask and the clothing. Now, a new material and coating has been invented. And this new material, electrified fabric, or the ordinary fabric coated with this material, makes that fabric inactivate and repel viral particles. Wearing masks and PPE clothing is being used to stem the spread of coronavirus. And now the CDC and the WHO and everybody saying that everyone should wear some kind of a face covering in public spaces, especially where the social distances cannot be maintained. And the health workers are donning additional coverings such as gowns and other protective clothes called PPE, personal protection equipment. People can transfer infection through touch. So the technology has been developed at Indiana University in the Department of Regenerative Medicine as per the director Chandan Sen. This coating, when used, as a fabric which is electrified when used, repels all virus. What they do is a polyester material is printed with alternating spots of silver and zinc resembling polka dots. And these dots are 1 to 2 millimeters wide and are spaced 1 milliliter apart. So when the electroceutical material is dry, it functions as an ordinary fabric. But if it gets dampened, say with saliva or vapor, when somebody coughs, the ions in the liquid trigger an electrochemical reaction. They simply zap the virus and all the pathogens on the surface are destroyed. As a matter of fact, this is a further development from the bacterial biofilm which is used to treat wounds. They have a biofilm which they call the new life. You just use it like glue on the wound and the wound would be healed. The same thing is being developed further to create these electrified clothing to kill the virus. And before we leave today, just a small thing. Are you aware that in the Milky Way, which we see at night, there are 5 billion planets habitable? There are many more, but 5 billion planets are habitable. and are similar to the atmosphere and environment we have in Delhi. A team led by Steve Bryson at NASA Research Center in California analyzed data, and they have seen the rocky planets, habitable zones are the same size as our Earth is. And it's found at distance where the star is not too cool, not too hot, and the water is there. This is the first time that the Milky Way has been found to have 5 billion habitable places. Whether they can be used or not to transport the human beings is yet to be seen. But then one thing is sure, there are many things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamed of in your philosophy, said Shakespeare. And that's coming out to be true. Who could imagine that the Milky Star would have 5 billion planets, which are as good for living as this Earth is? Wow. So we give you the new informative nuggets every week. And for new different nuggets, let's meet again after 1 week, same time. Thank you.